This is take two.
And
Hi,
run
Mark.
tape.
Did you hear the click? I didn't hear the click. I think like everyone's hearing that right now. Anyway, so Mark, who are you?
Okay, so my name is Mark Edmond. I play guitar, one of the guitars. And let me see. So Ben and Nate and I knew each other in college. And basically after we got done, we had met Ray online. You know, we thought we hit it off, but he wound up dumping us. He's like, sorry guys, it's not you, it's me. Then we didn't hear from him for a while, and then a couple months later, he was came back and he said, "Oh, well, I made a mistake."
No, he said no one else likes me.
Nobody else likes me.
Let's roast him while we can, right? He's working on his stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So then, late 2004, we get together. We brought Diz, who's not with us. He's not dead. He's just not with us.
He's no longer with us.
Yeah. Brought our drummer into the mix. And then we had put out our first EP in like September of 2005. And so then we'd been kind of trucking along, gigging. And so this was back in the stone age of MySpace. I think, Mara, you had reached out to us probably in 06 sometime. And we were looking to do a full length at that point.
Yep.
And so then we kind of hit it off. And I remember, I think the first time we met you in person, I think you came up to Minneapolis in like November of 06 to do pre-pro.
It was snowing. I remember that.
Yeah, well, that's like 9 months out of the year. So
Just whatever. Shut up.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was snowing. It was a cold afternoon. Yeah, well, and so then that kind of started the whole thing because we had done pre-pro. We were building up to that. I think we recorded for a couple of weeks in January of 07. And then we wound up putting the album out in April of that year. And then, spent the year kind of promoting that, and then decided it'd be a really good idea to do an acoustic album. And we recorded that on the solstice that year. So December 21st of 07.
Jeez, man. Two things.
Yeah,
Super impressive that you remember these times, even the months, man, right? Like years, but even the months. And secondly, I'm freaking out because it was that long ago.
It was that long ago.
Unbelievable.
And thirdly, he asked you who you are.
Right. And here's the life story.
To be fair, Mara also asked me, "Hey, just a little bit of it." Anyway, so yeah, but I'm Mark. So.
Yeah, and that's and that's great too because like you guys were band.
Say what?
What?
So yeah, hang on, Ray. Yeah, so you guys are a band called Drift Effect from Minneapolis. I'm obviously in Nashville, the recording engine producer. So we met through MySpace and kind of worked up in a working arrangement, and then but the first time we met was in pre-production. So let's just call that. Ben, who are you and what do you do in the band?
My turn.
Yeah.
My name is Ben. I'm Mark's supporting guitar player. So I play guitar with Drift Effect. It was a really good time. That was a fun stretch, particularly making those records. Now, Mark missed this part of his question. Are we still going?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still going.
Now, I got a super gray beard, and reminiscing on how long ago this all was, and I'm drinking a bubbly, right? So you can kind of get an idea of how far I've fallen from the rock and roll tree. But no, this is super fun going back to those days. We always, even love doing this with Mara, but even with the other dudes, we like getting together every now and again and just hashing stories, right? And making our throats hurt with laughter and all that. So yeah, that's me.
Oh. Hey, Diz is in the chat, by the way.
Oh, snap. Where is he?
So there's that host chat over on the side.
Okay.
We can open that up.
Yeah. So then Nate. So who are you?
Yeah, man. I'm Nate. I was the bass player in the group. That's usually about it, man.
That's true bass player fashion. Just the
Yeah.
song.
Cool.
No,
All right,
it's been a kick. Obviously, early on, I was not the first choice, and then Ben came crawling and said we need an actual bass player in the group, and so I felt pity, and I
Well, hold on.
I sauntered in casually, not thinking it would mount to anything, and here we are,
all right.
16 years later.
No, hold on. So me and Nate have been playing together for years before, college and Drift Effect and all that kind of stuff. And I remember going to him because Nate was talking about, he was working and, doing his thing and whatever else. And I didn't crawl, dude. Let's be real for a minute. Okay, just hang on. I didn't beg. But
There was some begging.
There was not some begging. There was, okay, fine. But we needed a bass player. And I specifically remember saying to you, dude, I was like, this could be the one, right? And then you were like, fine.
And then you strung me along for years.
Huh?
Nothing.
All right. So now we got Ray.
Ray.
So I'm gonna have to kind of filter people in. So Ray, who are you?
I'm Ray.
What do you do in the band?
Oh.
Sit up straight. Come on, sit up straight, dude. We can't see your face.
I'm trying. I'm like, my boys use this for their Zoom teacher classes, and it's like, if I leave the camera alone, it's gonna zoom in on my pecker, and so I'm trying to arrange it.
What kind of Zoom classes are your boys in anyway?
Well, teaching them well, I guess.
There you
Is
go.
that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I can see your gray beard.
I know. Look at this shit, dude. Look at all that. I'm Ray. I sang songs, wrote words, drove the guys crazy with my insanity, and yeah, now I'm old and gray.
Cool. All right, I'm going to take Ben out. I'm going to bring in Evan and hold on, who else? Sorry. There's a lot for me to manage now. I'm not like a video guy.
Come on, video guy.
Here's Evan. Coming on in a second. We'll do intros and then we'll just kind of pare it down and just start talking.
Hey guys.
Evan!
Hey.
So Evan, who are you and what's your deal?
Evan, I was their babysitter.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, background would be that I was in a band with Diz. That band
Who's
broke
Diz?
up. And
Diz is the drummer, by the way.
Diz was the drummer, Josh.
Yep.
I actually came back to our practice space and found him jamming with Ben and Nate. And then I moved away. Then met Drift Effect when they actually played a gig up in Duluth. And then when I moved back down to Minneapolis, I pretty much just inserted myself into their existence. And
Yeah, let's take that a step back though, because we went to a practice space with Josh to start working on some songs, and you showed up, and Evan, Ben, and I all went to high school together. So it was a little bit more random than just, we ran into each other, right?
Yeah, you're right.
That's all.
Yeah. We lost
Thanks for
Evan.
correcting me yet again.
Well, that's
Yeah. And then Evan, you
That's my
co-wrote
role.
some of the songs we worked on, right?
I didn't co-write. No. I helped arrange No Rides, and then Be Something didn't really have a name until it was something I wrote down at Warped Tour. It was Flurb before that. But yeah, then we were at Warped Tour 2006, and I wrote Be Something down on a piece of paper, and it kind of went off from there.
Cool. All right, hang on, Nate. I'm going to bring Josh in. Then we'll meet him.
Shit,
All
your
right.
beer is so great, Ray.
I have to screen the sign. Here we go. Josh, what's up? Oh, he's coming in.
Josh. 3,
Hey,
2.
Hey guys, who are you? Yo,
There he is.
What's up, Josh?
can you hear me singing? Hey,
we can hear you.
my signal's terrible.
We shouldn't be broadcasting
Yo,
from a
what's up?
lake in northern
Yeah,
Minnesota.
in northern Minnesota. So this is fun.
One- one
This is a
bomb.
great example of what like to produce a rock band. It's a lot of just managing and
Can't
filming the guitar.
hear you.
All right, Josh, I'm gonna take you out, man. You may want to get on some sort of Wi-Fi. So, all right, Evan, once you got through, let me pull a couple other guys back in. Now that we can go see what's going on here. Nate and Ben. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about, now that we've got the idea of how the band formed, and a lot of rock bands have this, like, two people were in the band for a while and another person came in, and there's this nucleus and all that kind of stuff, right? When did you guys decide you wanted to enlist a producer and make an album? I mean, how did that conversation go?
The very first gig that we played an acoustic gig at a bowling alley. Do you guys remember that? In Robbinsdale, Minnesota. And we're playing, and we had like 2 or 3 songs, and we played them, and then Ben like started doing the Ben thing, and I was like, holy crap, dude, you can play. And then he looked afterward, he's like, dude, I didn't know you could sing like this. Like, let's do this. So that's kind of the nexus of like, all right, now what? So we wrote a lot of songs, and then decided that we are going to try the next evolution and try to do it right. So I think you found us, or I don't know. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but I remember a series of conversations with you, and how we had recorded the EP at Pachyderm Studios, and we loved Pachyderm, like just such a cool vibe. And you're like, Pachyderm sounds cool. And then we just, I don't know, just back and forth, and you were digging what we were doing, and we thought you were cool, and we just decided let's do it, I guess. Mark could probably give like dates and time ranges and blood types and stuff, but
yeah, and you know what I remember of this, because this is going back a ways. You guys were one of the first bands that I really dug in and produced like a whole record. Like I'd engineered a ton before that and worked with a ton of producers, but like working it through. And I remember experienced a lot of things for the first time. Like you guys had this was basically a concept record. You know, it kind of unraveled as we went along. It's like, wow, this is a concept record, which is a whole nother thing in and of itself, right? Everything matters. All the lyrics tie together, the song order, the whole deal. And you guys had it all mapped out. And I remember dealing with the subtleties of producing a record for a band that's paying me to produce the record. So the tightrope is like not everything can exist. Not every song can be on the record. Not every bar can be on the record. But you're attached to all of that. And just the conversation we had, Ben, you weren't a band, you know. No, and I remember having to really work at that, and you challenged me all the time, you know, and in a good way, you know.
Yeah, I would actually give you a lot of love here right now, because we were young, right, as a group, and this was our first full-length endeavor as well, as a group. And there's a lot of personalities, right? You got this one who wants to go about 350 miles an hour. This one who has all these crazy, colorful sounds in his head. And then you got me, who thinks I'm hot shit, right? But really am an idiot, however old I was at that time, and hadn't grown up yet, really. And yeah, you managed all those different personalities, especially when you had someone like myself that was just like, nah, man, this is how I'm going to do it. And your typical, like, a-hole rock person stuff. So no, mad love to you for handling that and putting it together and making it come out good.
Well, I think those kind of things really solidify this record and you guys in my life, where it's, I learned later after I worked with other artists that I knew of, and they would, oh, I love that record, what you did. And like, oh, I hate that record. Like, why? Like, well, I didn't have a good time making it, basically. You know what I mean? And we had such a good time, rough time, good time, that we're all friends, and the record is kind of this, like a photograph as a part of our story. You know what I mean? And Ray, we worked together several more times, and Evan, I was just working with Evan's band last week on something, so there's a lot going on there. But I'm trying to think, like, I want to bring, hey Josh, let me see. Hang on, Ben, I'm gonna try to bring Josh. Josh is the drummer. And so Mark, talk about kind of your experience with the creative process too, because I can sit here and talk about what it's like for me to produce a record, but I want people that are in bands or artists to learn about what happens with you guys and your concerns.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? I mean, I think part of the reason why Ben and I work so well together as guitarists is because we have completely different approaches. Ben is a very good technical player. He's very melodic in terms of the way he hears stuff. I like weird sounds and just coming up with weird shit. and we made it work. And so one of the things I really remember about that pre-production session is that, for me personally, I've been trying to find my niche as a guitarist, and it took me about another 10 years to finally find it, but that's kind of besides the point. But what I remember is I was kind of doing weird stuff for weirdness' sake. And with pre-production, you kind of dial this back a little bit. And I remember that, like, all right, well, why are you guys going here? Why is this bridge in the middle of a song? Versus, why aren't you going with a typical A-B-C-D structure when that's kind of the strength of the song? But at the same time, when we got to the studio, I mean, and I know we'll kind of talk about some specific songs here, but when we did Be Something, like the song Be Something, which is the last one on the record, I remember, you were asking me to come up with basically the weirdest shit I could that basically wound up sounding like reverse whale calls. And you made me track that 3 different times, and you would not let me hear what I did on the other tracks. And I actually went back and I listened to that today. And the way it turned out was just this beautiful kind of sonic landscape. And so that's what really stands out for me. And I don't even know if you remember this, but before we started working together, I had a tone that, I thought kind of worked. And you sat me down and you're like, no, do you hear how bottom heavy this is? You're not getting any of the mids. You're not pushing any of the power. And you had me tweak that damn thing. And to this day, that is the tone I go off of. I still have the pencil marks on my Mesa head from where you marked it. So it was a huge growth experience for me and a very, very positive one. And, going back for me and listening to the record and the way that you pushed Ben and the way that you pushed me and really kind of the way you had us all kind of listen to what the other one was doing. And I'll freely admit that that's been my weak spot as a guitarist, is not really listening to some of the other things that are going on. That was a huge stepping stone for me. And I can hear a lot of that starting in that record.
Yeah, I think we just met each other at this really cool moment in time where we were all really trying to go for something, and you guys had this perfect amount of respect for each other, and I don't use the word disdain, but you just didn't put up with enough of each other's shit either yet, right? So there was that nice push pull, and all the musical. I remember talking to you guys about your musical influences individually, and the list just was so big. I knew I could not fit it all in one can. You know what I mean? Which is awesome. Which is part of the struggle, And it's weird, how many of the songs I listened to yesterday. I was like, oh, I remember that song. I remember working on that song. I remember working on that song. You know, and I couldn't really tell you something I did last year. You know what I mean? On things I'm not involved with as much. I'm not talking about the musical content, but when you really work on something and spend time on it, it gets ingrained. You know.
Yeah, well, I think that's like just a soulful thing. Like you feel it, and I think that's all of us dudes are so very different in a lot of different ways. But when we sat down to write music, it was a soulful thing. It was we used to practice on Wednesdays because it's the middle of the week, and that was like we could bring all this anxiety and tension, and we just let it go. And always at the center of everything we did was just this emotional release, this tension release, and bringing you into that fold. Like we would have this idea of this release and this thing that we did, but you came in and you helped kind of focus that a little more and think more tonally. And for the first time, I'm a singer. I write words and I sing. I don't think of anything beyond that. But like when you sat down with the guys, you were talking about, like, it was the first time I heard frequency ranges.
Yeah.
And Mark, even still, Mark and I, we still write together, and he is now like shifted a little more into these frequency ranges, and where's the bass filling, and where's the drums filling, and where's the vocals filling, and like creating this whole like sonic. I envision a circle and all these different frequencies, but that was a learning experience that you gave us.
Yeah, I think to that point, when I look back at even the EP prior to Be Something, right? It's Ben got the moniker of One Take Ben. Mark was still Play First, Count Later. Right? Like we were trying to figure it out, and I think to Ray's point, not only was it like you came at the right time, but you really taught us how to challenge ourselves. And you challenge us, right? Because like I remember, man, we'd be in the live room, and like I personally felt like I hit something. I'd walk into the room and you just go, "Get back in there, do it again." I'm just like, "Dude, but I hit it." No, you didn't. Get back in there. It was that like I don't think up to that point any of us even thought about pushing ourselves or had anyone to push us. And that was where I think we all grew as musicians from that point. I can't say I have all the EQs dialed in still like Mark does, but it was just one of those things that just I think it changed us all musically for the better from there, because we had to look at things differently and not just be our traditional early 20s, late 20s, right? Cocky selves. That just didn't know any better, right? Like Ben and I have been playing, or at that point, even when we record that disc, Ben and I have been playing together for 10 years nonstop. And so anytime he would do anything, I knew exactly where he was going and I knew where I was going. And then you bring Mark in and totally just screws that whole thing up. But making all of our uniqueness and all of those different sounds that we wanted to create kind of come together, I think we were still super clueless as to how to make that work when we even stepped into Pachyderm for the second time, right? Like we had an idea, but we had no idea how it was going to end up. And yeah, that you helped kind of pull the thread through a little bit more than we were even able to, or even to think about how we would do it.
Yeah, and if you listen to Be Something, and then you listen to the temporal end, like all the songs we were working on at the end, like you can hear all the stuff we learned, and then how it kind of coalesced to this like more finite thing. Like there were frequencies, and I don't know. I just like our growth. I don't think we would have grown had it not been for Be Something. Like Be Something was like a catalyst that
it was the jump.
It just opened up this whole different world for us.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly it's like when we got done, I was really proud of it, and I had the equal amount of feeling of I wish I could just start again right now. You know what I mean?
Yep. Like, all right, take one. Good. Now let's do it again.
Yeah, that was good. I was all good. Now let's do it, right? Because we lived it, man. I stayed at one of you guys' places during pre-production. Pachyderm Studios in Northfield, Minnesota has a house we all stayed in the
And that
entire
was a
time.
good time.
Yeah, that was a very good time.
I still have the chip tooth to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we rented a cabin out in Wisconsin to do the overdubs for budget reasons, and lived and stayed there through the whole thing too. You know, so there's a lot of it. Wasn't just like go in the studio and leave. You know.
Yeah.
And I really did feel everything start to kind of gel, and it just start popping, and I had this like overwhelming like we should do it again right now. You know what I mean?
We even, and you brought that up, Mara, but even thinking of that time at the cabin to finish things off, man, it's like we tapped into that random ass little radio at the very end and caught like the most perfect tone, scratchy, and then words that just happened to be there at the time. Like it tied the bow on it, right?
You absolutely have to be there. It'll absolutely change your life. And that's how
we were recording a guitar amp in the middle of nowhere, and it started picking up. The guitar amp started picking up an AM radio.
That's what it was.
Yep. And we were just like looking around. And I'm like, let's just record it. We're in Pro Tools now. Let's just record. And she was just going off. I don't know if old ladies do meth or what, but she was on something. And we ended up editing it together and putting it in between the songs, or at the outro of a song or something. And that was kind of the first time that I, we wanted to do a lot of stuff. It was a full length, and you guys are on a budget. You're independent artists. Nate, I'm going to take you out now. And so I kind of struck a deal with my in-laws to rent one of their cabins to do the overdubs. I brought my Pro Tools rig up, and we kind of made it work that way. We did all the tracking and what I call heavy overdubs, like big electric guitars and all that kind of stuff at Pachyderm proper studio. And then we did most of the vocals, background vocals,
all of the vocals, backup
solos,
vocals,
and
acoustics.
I think we got all of Ben's guitars done at Pachyderm, but then because I had a few extra days, I think we did most of mine at the cabin. That was my right.
So
And your old your high school drum or your high school your high school band teacher, like we went to there and recorded the great big drums for
That's right. We were working on a song and you needed a timpani, so I actually called my high school.
Ray, was that you and me banging on that timpani? Yeah.
With I don't remember, what did you have to record? You didn't have your typical. It was almost like a digital 4-track or a digital 8. Like it was a small little thing that you recorded on, right? Do you remember?
Me?
Yeah.
We brought a little Pro Tools rig around. Yeah.
Oh, you did? You had the Pro Tools rig. I don't know. I don't think you did.
We dumped the song on a little 4-track. Yeah, that's right. And went to the high school and recorded on that and put it back in Pro Tools. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun and a lot of technical stuff going on too to make it work budget wise, which was fun. And I think I remember telling you guys, it's like, I think this is all going to work. Well, let's just do it and find out, because I had to bring all the crap up, from Nashville and all that, But I hear those vocals, and I didn't know they were recorded in a 800 square foot cabin.
Do you remember your little trick with the microphone? You had the penny. You put the penny in. Do you remember that? Just so that it there was something with I don't remember exactly, but you put a penny in the microphone and pushed the microphone out just out of a tiny little bit. It was something with that, and then how it reacted. I don't know, but I remember you hold on, nope, and you put the penny in, and then you turn the knob just a little bit. Because it was like an old Shure, like a 68 Shure or 72 Shure.
Yeah, it was an
Really old
location.
microphone. And you just put the penny in there. I'm like, huh.
Yeah,
That's
it was
something.
loose. Yeah.
But it worked. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
I remember, it's just random shit like that that I've been thinking about.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Go ahead, Mark.
What was that, dude?
go ahead. I just had a thought, but go ahead.
Well, and then I guess to kind of roll out the technical stuff, then I mixed it back down in Nashville. I don't think I had a studio at the time. I think I mixed it at Tom Harding's studio or something like that. And we sent the mixes, and I sent the mix to you for tweaks, and we just tweaked it and kind of rolled it out from there, right?
Yeah.
I was super mad about that. I remember.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear like what do they call it? You hadn't mixed anything. What's the term for that? The dry or the whatever. And you were like, nope, not showing it to you. I was just like, my dude, I'm jacked. We just spent all this time making this record. I want to hear it. I don't want to wait anymore. But you're like, no. And but I always remember that now. Every record I've done since then with whatever other group I've been in, and it's just like, you don't want to listen to the first dry whatever, because then you might get attached to something and you're not even giving yourself the chance to appreciate the final product. So that's a Mara-ism that has stuck forever since then. So, but I was super mad about that when you wouldn't let us hear it.
Yeah, and the idea behind that is I didn't want like a couple of things going on. I was working at a studio I wasn't familiar with, like Pachyderm, and I didn't want to give you guys rough mixes that might not have had the right bass content or whatever.
Yep.
And then I didn't want you guys to I knew you'd wear them out and get used to that sound. And then when the final mix was presented to you, you would be stuck on the old one where your guitar might have been too loud, but you liked it, and then I have to kind of remix it to a improper mix.
Mm-hmm.
But
So I had a couple of thoughts here, and I don't know if anybody remembers this, but you guys remember that it was either the mixing board or the tape machine would not work on that first day. And I don't know if you remember, all of us were stressed out. And you came back to us after you talked with the owner of Pachyderm at that point. You're like, guys, relax. I got us another day or two or whatever at the end of this. And so we wound up having an extra day at Pachyderm, and you managed us, man. You calmed us down. Like I never felt anxious, because you were in a constant dialogue with us. And to me, that was really important. And right along with that, I mean, I remember pre-production, and Ben would probably attest to this too. Like I remember us getting cut down a couple of notches because we thought, all right, well, we got this. And then it was, no, you guys need to switch this. Why the hell are you doing this? Try this. And we came away with a pretty good plan. But what I remember about going into the studio was that there was so much random shit that happened in there that we wound up trying that worked. Whether it was, oh, hey, here's a little toy piano. Let's put this at the end of a song. Or it still does, and I love that. But my personal favorite was recording Be Something, because we did that towards the end of one of the evenings, and it was just the perfect vibe, and we got done, and then you're like, hold on, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna run the drums through a bass amp, and then I'm gonna add in some percussion overdubs to accent the bass drum, and then we're gonna try this and try that. And that was when we were still at Pachyderm. That was even before the overdubs and all that other stuff. But I mean, it was just the kind of, all right, where's this moment taking us? What are we gonna try? That was very inspiring, and it was like, all right, we're not sticking with what we were locked into. We're gonna try shit and just see if it works.
Well, yeah, because I remember you and Ray going we want random, we want all this ethereal stuff, and then other parts of the band were it's we want it to be hard hitting, and it's this balance, right? So what I was trying to do was get the foundation really hard and locked in, and then spend evenings getting the random bits and pieces, whale humping, all that shit.
Well,
And
That whale humping, that's a hard foundation right there.
yeah, and that was one of the main reasons we wanted to record on tape, was to get some of that randomness and work a little bit harder on stuff, and not just put stuff backwards in Pro Tools and all that shit, Man, I had a thought and it left. Oh yeah, you guys really did challenge me too. I'm gonna bring Ben back in. Mark, hang on a second.
Okay.
Give everyone. I'm trying to get everyone screen time here. So I remember Ben and Ray really challenging me, like, because I came to pre-production with ideas, because you guys sent me the songs ahead of time, and they were, you guys said we want a radio friendly record that's a concept thing, and so I worked on song structure and riffs and stuff, and you guys really challenged, like, and I don't say every decision like in a bad way, but I had to prove every idea.
I know.
You know what I mean? And not in a dick way. It's like, well, why is this better, Chris? I'm like, well, just play it, and and it was, and I'm saying all this fondly. It's like I couldn't show up with a bullshit idea and just have it go by. Was my point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually have very vivid memories of that exact concept right there with you, because I had a massive head. I thought we were the next cool thing. I freely admit it, older now and being a kid then or whatever. But yeah, I definitely kind of felt like I knew what I wanted it to be. You know what I mean? And I wanted it to be something. It's like, just kidding. That was a joke. Sorry.
and scene.
But I thought we already knew what that was supposed to be, and kind of from what Nate was saying before about, I don't even think we knew there was a thread to be pulled through, but you did, and you came with it, right? I remember a couple instances. I remember pre-production in the space with Shake, and you said, cool song, it bangs, it hits, but you were like, it doesn't really have a chorus, and I just went, oh my God, you're right. Like it's like we didn't even know about some of this stuff. Or one of my favorite tracks on the record actually was Solstice. Do you remember putting that one together?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I mean. So like what Mark was talking about before, and challenging us and all that kind of, and breaking things down and putting and producing a record and not just pushing the buttons that the band wanted you to push. I remember Solstice being different, and it's so good now that I don't even really remember how it was before. But like, I remember one night we were drinking a bunch of Pepsis, and we were feeling real good about ourselves. And I remember coming up to you like, Mara, let's go lay down that Solstice intro on the acoustic, right? And you were like, my dude, we're going to do it a million times tonight, and it's going to be horrible because you're hammered. So let's just do it tomorrow. No, Mara. No, we can do it right now. I'm going to nail it. It's going to be fantastic.
And I was right behind you, like, I'm gonna sing the shit out of it.
Right. It was us being dumb kids. You know what I mean? And I think that you challenged us, and I'm glad to hear you feel like we challenged you, because we did have ideas, and artistically, of course, all bands can get on that soapbox. But I think the push and pull that we had together actually made something really, really good. Kind of like a snapshot of where we were at the time. It was a good way to see how much further we had to go. But it definitely encapsulated us. And I don't know if we could have done that without that push and pull from you. Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason I didn't want to record that intro at 2 a.m. was I was in the sauna.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all love that sauna, man. Just love it. Where's Mark?
Well,
in the sauna. Hang on a second.
And
All right, do you remember when Ben said that? So you were in the sauna, and then Ben and Nate were in the pool, the pool that had no water, but whatever. And then Ben and Nate, like, Ray, they came inside and they got me, and we sat around the pool, and Ben started playing Solstice, but on the acoustic. And I was like, holy shit, this sounds so good in here. And I just started belting it out, and it was like echoey and just like this amazing sound. And that's from that whole session. That's the point that is locked into I can like almost smell the like stale water in the bottom of the pool, and just like, oh, it was so cool though. And then I remember like opening up the sound and like, Mara, did you hear that? And you're like, yeah, that sounded really good. Like, let's go record it. No,
It was
I'm
more
not
like
sorry.
it was more like, Mara, let's bring all the equipment into the pool basement and
Oh yeah, that,
try to record in the pool.
Yeah, an indoor pool. Yeah, and I do regret not grabbing a bunch of equipment and doing it, but at the same time, in our mind, it's all about
So good.
Yeah, you were in the
You know what I
sauna.
mean?
yeah.
We didn't have to like play it the next day. Go, "Ooh."
But
In
it
our
was
mi-
like
I-
3 in the morning or something, so we'd worked all day.
Yeah. So it still sounds awesome in our mind, and there's no one to dispute that. So I think it's a right move.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring Evan in for a second because I wanted to talk with one of the memories I have, and it could be a false memory, but I'm a big song guy, and we talked a little bit about the band dynamic earlier and how you guys kind of wove in and out with different bands, and I couldn't keep track of it, and partially just didn't give a shit. But one of the songs I really liked, and I don't remember how I found it. I don't know if it was sent kind of just in a package, and it was there. And I'm like, why aren't we doing this song? And it was like, well, Evan co-wrote it, and he's not in this band. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Like
Um,
October Sky.
What song? Do you even remember what song that was?
Cycles.
Cycle.
Oh, was it Cycles?
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
don't
we
know
did that
if
one
we did-
later in
We
Nashville.
did it later, but yeah, I didn't make it on the record. But I remember like going to, I kept bringing it up, like, what the fuck, guys? You know, this is a good song. You know, and you know, I remember saying none of your fans care who wrote it. You know what I mean? And half the band wrote it. You know, so we'll talk about that song because when did it get recorded? These are all like I don't remember the details.
That the main riff for that song, I actually was writing at the tail end of the band I was in with Josh, and I just was kind of just sitting on it. And we were in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, I think, and we were out back. And I just grabbed one of the acoustic guitars again, and Ray started humming to me playing that, and we kind of sat on it for a while, and then I don't remember how long after that you had like the first verse or the first verse and chorus for that.
Mhm.
But then we recorded it on your 4-track in your living room.
No, the first, yeah, and then we
The first
re-recorded
version.
it. Yep, and the second version we did in the studio right before practice.
Yep.
Yep, I remember that. I still have that recording.
And then we tried to do it again at your new place, your first place in Mankato. And it kept getting to the next level each time, but it was not quite there. And it wasn't I don't think it was even ready. I think that was one of the things that was hesitant with a lot of the band members was it wasn't ready
No, it
to
wasn't.
be something
was-
at that time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't ready. It was a great idea. Like it lyrically and melodically, like it was there, but we were still missing a couple pieces, and so Evan and I worked on it for Jesus
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years, and then finally, I'm like, I remember talking to you, Mara, before the Atlee project when I came down there for that, and I was talking to you about Psycho. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that song, and you said, maybe piano. I'm like, I can try, and I just plunked out the chords on the piano and recorded and sent it to Evan. He's like,
Yep.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's much better. And then of course, Billy took it and did fucking amazing things with it. But yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I forgot all this. So you came down to Nashville on a solo project. How many years later? 7.
Yeah, post children, like my first
Yeah.
child was born, and yeah. So yeah, it must have been 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah, and worked on a song that we took a pretty good stab at with a different band.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's funny. I kind of forget all those little details. Like I remember I remember I can remember sitting down with Evan, like behind, like I would always warm up before a show, and Evan would usually sit with me, and we, just play, and like that's how October Sky. That's how it got started. I don't know. So Evan and I have written quite a lot of songs together, and it was always like him sitting back with me, strumming a guitar, so I could warm up before a Drift Effect show. That's like a lot of our songs kind of started that way. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's, I think the lesson there for anyone watching is, I think we all get wrapped up in making everything work right now because that's part of our job. Right? This is a song; it's got to work. But then sometimes, not every time, you say this isn't it right now. Not this record, not this band. And I think that's the agreement we came to on that song. You're like, look, I hear what you're saying, Mara, but not on this record. I'm like, okay, cool. We got enough stuff to do. You're right. And I'm really glad it came back around. And yes, and yeah. And,
well, and honestly, like that, your persistence at the time of doing Be Something, like let Evan and I know that there's some meat to this. Like there's something that we can do with this, because we have, I don't know, there's plenty of other songs that we've written that are like probably garbage. You know what I mean? Like just, but this one, for whatever reason, like it stuck with us and we followed it through, and eventually it turned into a song. So
yeah. Well, Evan, thank you for that. I'm going to take you out right now. I'm trying to get everyone the same amount of screen time, right? Bring Nate back in. Well, and
you can bounce me out because I gotta pee.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I'll do that.
Oh, typical.
But I don't think Ray mentioned City. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I think one of the reasons this particular project is lodged in my brain is during pre-production in Minneapolis, my first child was born in Nashville. Like my wife went into labor, like we were like working on a song, and she calls me and she's like, I'm on the way to the hospital. I'm like, for what? She's like, I'm having a baby. I'm like, oh shit. Hey guys, I gotta go. And I took off. And that, so that's kind of ingrained in my memory, And I remember thanking you guys profusely. It's like, you just didn't even, we're all early 20s and all really, I don't know, in our own world. And you guys stepped out of that and just said, go do that, man. That's a big deal. Right. And you're like, we'll pick this up whenever we pick it up. Yep. And that was huge for me, I thought, because
it's life, man. Like those are
we chatted about that, right? Because I think by the time we were recording Be Something, I think Marcus was around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was January of 07.
No, he wasn't. 06, 07?
November of 06. Yeah. So whenever. So it was like he was brand new, right? And so I remember talking because you were expecting too, and I was just like, there was a connection piece there for us, at that point in our lives and getting started on that journey. So I remember that. That's cool.
Yeah, that was a big plus thing. So I was like, I'm gonna be back. Well, every part of the schedule is gonna get reworked, but it'll work. Because obviously that wasn't part of the plan. My son was about a month early, so that selfish little trick. But but everything turned out fine. But it was pretty intense. Man, we should listen to something. I've got. We've been talking a lot about Solstice, and I've got the finished version of that. And I still think Ray did a really good job on this vocal.
Yeah, he really did.
And you guys we talked about a concept record and stuff, and we recorded this song, this version, like on or near the solstice, I think. Is that right? No, it was January. We recorded a version of the song on the winter solstice. I remember.
Yeah.
But this might not have been the one. But that's how you guys think. You're deep and all that. But this when I hear this song, I hear late at night is what I hear. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Assuming we did it late at night. I'm going to take Nate out so I can play this real quick. And then everyone mute yourself if you can. And let's play the Solstice. And this is what we recorded back in, who knows when.
So much can be gathered in the silence of what is never spoken, of what is never broken. Holding on to all the pain, a hazy sky and drops of rain, putting pieces in the place, dripping sun with shots of gray. And I will not be ashamed, hesitate or stand in place, and I will not want to scream. Come December, the snow will cover up the wounded grass burned up by summer, buried under, covered over, out of sight and out of
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there's a lot going on. I'll mute some guy here. A lot going on. And I remember now really working on like how to fit all that in there, because we couldn't have it was a conflicting song, right? It was super acoustic, but full band, and when to bring all that in.
Yep.
And that, and it's still, Ray sang the shit out of that song.
Hell yeah.
And
Great.
that's not a lot of editing we punched in a lot, but there's no studio tricks. That was a big part of our concept too. It's like, we want this to be as authentic as possible.
I was even asking Mark while the song was playing, but because there's a lot of guitar work going on in there, I feel like, and I was just like, I can't remember who's doing what there. And again,
and that
testament
was
to
a beautiful thing, man. Like you and Mara were working together. I didn't even come in until the chorus, and I was doing kind of that chugging, clean power chord. Thing. But the intro is all you, the acoustic and the electric.
Yeah, but there's still a lot there, I feel like, and to make it all have its own space and to make it all work together, sorry, dudes, we couldn't have done that on our own. Like, we wouldn't have been able to make that happen. No way. Sorry, not that. Not even close. No.
Yeah, I remember the outro. I remember sitting down when it came time to edit it, and where we ended it, that was right before Ben went on this fucking crazy run. Like, it was awesome. Like, it was like he did this thing, and then you can almost tell like Ben has this style of playing. He does this thing, and it's like, and then he gets back into this. He like brings it down, and then just explodes. And we cut it on the explode, and I'm like, can we, Mark, can we just just can we push it back just a little bit? But there was no like good fade out point after
It
that.
got
Like,
weird.
yeah, because it was always this. I remember that conversation with Chris. Like, but dude, listen to him. He's fucking ripping. Like, can we just like maybe 2 more bars? And like, when are we gonna? When is it gonna fade out? Like,
Right. Big
okay,
picture.
4 more bars. Well, he's shredding, dude. Listen to this. Like, no. When are you gonna fade out? When are you gonna fade out?
Yeah.
Face. Okay.
Well, thank you for sticking to your guns there, Mark, because it turned out brilliant.
Yeah, it was fun. And that, and that, that song on the record, a lot of harder songs on the record too, so it was this nice, I like the record. And it's, if you're listening or watching, go, it's on Spotify, right? Drift Effect. The album's called Be Something.
Yeah, Spotify, Amazon. I think it's on.
Yeah.
All that.
Check it out and listen to the whole thing, because you guys really worked on the song order, and they fade in and out of each other, and it's a really cool concept record,
Yeah, when you talk about concept, like, so very basically, because that's my route. Like, that's how I think. And so if you listen to it and you go through all the songs, and it's this kind of ebb and flow, this up down, like just a lot of tension, and when it gets to the end and it gets to be something, the dudes and we sat down for hours, and just knowing us, like, this is how we roll. We will sit down and talk philosophy and just like geek out. Like that's our realm. Just, we are very precise in our thinking and in our processes, and we love each other for that. Like, just that's just how we operate. So when we say concept album, like, there's all this stuff, and then you hit Be Something, and it's like you hit a wall, and it's just like, you know what? Let's filter it. It doesn't matter. Just go be a positive human being, and just go be something. Do something for other people and be positive. And that's the whole genesis of the whole album, is like, there's all this negative stuff and all this like societal tension and all this stuff. But if you just filter it down, and we had so many conversations. I mean, you're in a van for hours and driving and humping belt seats and, just like doing our thing. And we just talk. Like, yeah, we would listen to music, but the thing that I absolutely love about these dudes is we would talk, and we would like have these philosophies and just this really deep thought processes and these deep conversations that would last for hours, and they'd be tangential, and we would eventually like Be Something. That's what Be Something was. And we just coalesce it into this very perfect finite form, which was all the shit that happens in the world, all the shit that happens with you personally. You know what? Just let it go and go do positive and go be something. Be a positive light into the world. And that was our concept. So when you say concept album, that was our very, I don't know, long.
That's no joke, because those conversations would take us hours out of the way of wherever we were going. No, I mean, like, in the wrong direction. Like, we
Typically hours. We wind up in Oklahoma,
way.
Texas.
Yeah. And as a producer, it's like time management, because we're on a budget, is important. And I'd be like, Ray, that's awesome. Let's go record that now. Let's go I care about you, but you're gonna have a talk with me about why we're over budget. So let's get to it. And I'm scrolling through some photos. Let me hide Ray here real quick, because it's easiest. I'm just gonna filter through some photos real quick. There's Ben.
Oh shit.
I love those pants. Wish I still had them.
And we were talking about gear. That tape machine broke the first day, and I gotta throw it out, Mark. I gotta throw a nice shout out to the Terrarium studio. They offered to bring a replacement part out to us, and we weren't using their studio. So Jason Orris is an officer and gentleman in that regard. And another, I'm not Mr. Serendipity, and the world is for us. This is Pachyderm. I don't have any pictures of the cabin. that I could show. But
Wow.
but,
Wow.
that's all
Look
it
at
was.
you, Mara. That's fantastic.
I know.
This is our pre-production stuff, right? So we have the song structure and pose, and that's in the studio. It's like play the chart. Remember, you guys are like, we should change it. No, we like to stick to it.
And so, Mara, I don't know if I mentioned this, but so I still have all the 2-inch tape, but what I didn't realize, I opened them up a couple months ago, all the pre-pro notes are still in there.
Awesome.
Oh wow,
That's super.
Yeah. Yeah, so we still have all those.
yeah. There's always hanging out in the house attached to the studio.
Actually, I think that was just outside the studio.
Yeah. Yeah, that was,
yeah. Well, I'm gonna bring Nate back in. Just and one thing, you know, because I'm from New area, and I still work with a lot of bands from there, and it's just the connection is really interesting to me. And this record has a nice part of that where Pachyderm at the time was, unbeknownst to us, was in transition phase from Owners, which it's a great space now, and it was prior. But in that couple months we were there, well, we were there like a week, but in that time frame, it was kind of in a technical shamble, and I didn't know that. None of us did. And I had emailed the assistant engineer. I'm like, hey, I'm on your website. Here's the microphone use on this stuff, and he's like, where are you getting these microphones? Like, where's this list come from? I'm like, from your website. And he's like, we don't have any of those. And I was kind of freaking out, and I got a call from, or an email from this guy named Paul. I can't remember Paul's last name now. He's an engineer there. He goes, hey man, 2 years ago I was in Nashville doing a record, and you had left all your gear for me to use because you had heard a guy from Minneapolis was in the studio next. So I'm going to bring all my microphones to Pachyderm for you to use. And that and yeah. So it was just like this nice thing. And I remember that I was at Dark Horse Studio, and I was talking to the assistant. I was there for like a week, and I was coming back in 4 days. I'm like, who's in next? He goes, this guy from Minneapolis. I'm like, well, hell, I'm from Minneapolis. I'm not using my gear. Just leave it. Just leave him a note. Tell him, fellow Minnesotan, as it were. And it came back around, and he brought a lot of nice microphones. So that's a nice. I don't know if I told you guys that story. Was a nice.
No,
I don't think so.
No,
that's I think that just shows, right? Because we were all young and dumb and had no idea what we were doing, and like you've said a few times, right? We were on a budget, a tight budget, and the last thing you probably want to do is freak us out, going, "The studio is not ready for you guys, and this is going to be really bad." But like, just pulled it all together, and we didn't know anything, and it just kind of went off without a hitch from there.
Oh yeah, I almost lost my shit. I was the assistant for. I said, "Can you bring me a pencil?" And he said, "Yeah, it's in the other room." And I went, "There's it? There's one pencil." So I sent him to like town with $50, light bulb, pencil, pads, like because his name is Zach. We were just talking about this before we jumped on. Take you out, Nate. His name is Zach Hollander, I believe, and now he's got a studio in Minneapolis called, I want to say the Pearl, but I'm going to get that wrong. It's something like that. But I see him from time to time. So
yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, that's kind of fun too. That he's still doing it, and
I can remember he was a young dude at the time. Like
so.
I can picture it.
Like he was super jacked about everything, and
super fun dude.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Hey, you guys need me to go to the gas station and get you some Hot Pockets? I'll get you some Hot Pockets.
Yeah, man.
I remember the time where we tried to think of the most messed up thing to go tell him to do, right? Like we can go there.
No, we saved that for Evan. Hey,
right.
Go talk to Evan.
Right.
Well, yeah. And thanks guys for like taking a risk on me, somebody didn't really know, and putting all those hopes and dreams kind of out there, and trusting me to make sure it came out all right. I know that takes a lot of trust, and Yeah,
I
I
think
listened to the album
honestly,
yesterday.
Chris, I think that us as individuals, we kind of rely on our intuition when we meet people, and like just talking to you, and I know that it started with you and I talking a lot together, and I don't know, I always got like just a sense that you're just like a good dude, like a good human being. And I think when we make music and how we interact, and even in our outside of music, just who we choose as our friends and our colleagues or whatever, like that's at the core of it is just like, are you an asshole? Are you selfish? Are you only looking out for yourself? Are you only 1000% business focused? Like all these little things that but you never had any of that. Just like you're just a dude, and we liked you, and you're a good human being. And as we worked together, we found out, yeah, you know what, this dude's a good dude. He might spend too much time in the sauna, but whatever. It's all good.
Well, yeah, okay. No, thank you for that.
That's where he'd go into the sauna just so he could be like, if Ray tells me one more goddamn thing, that's why he was able to keep it so professional and so even kill with us, is because he took that all into the sauna.
Yeah,
I
just
guess-
take it away.
Yeah,
Fucking
I go
Ray. That
going to
crazy
sauna at
dude.
midnight, in my defense, at midnight, Well, I like to keep this about an hour. So what, if you could, since hopefully artists are watching this and you guys have a great insight, why don't you each just kind of give a little bit of advice to an artist who might be thinking about doing a record with a producer, and things that if you could just go back and tell yourself something, just kind of do that, and we'll wrap it up. So, Ben, do you have a little nugget of advice for a band looking to use a producer or engineer?
Did you say me?
I did.
Oh, yeah. Shut your mouth and open your ears. I mean, and it's part of the growing process, but if I would have that one piece of advice, it would be that you're going to end up somewhere as you grow as a musician, as you mature as a human being, and don't get in your own way. Shut your mouth, open your ears, do what Chris Mara says. But, the sooner that you can kind of take yourself out of the equation and understand that you have growing to do, and that you have some place that you're trying to get to, and get out of your own way, the better off you'll be.
Wow. Mark, you got anything? Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, well, I was thinking something similar to what Ben said, and basically, like, never assume that the idea you had is the greatest idea that you can push yourself to do. And at the same time, like, I think we've all seen the stories and read the press, and it's like, oh yeah, it needs to be this huge adversarial relationship. Like, I think my experience in Drift Effect and my experience working with you, Chris, is that, like, it can be positive, it can be constructive. It doesn't need to be needless drama. Like, I felt pushed. I felt like it was a good working relationship. And I feel like it forced me to, like Ben said, listen, like, how can I improve? What is this idea adding? I came up with this. Where is this taking it? And really, yeah, just being open to ideas and seeing, all right, is this pushing something further? Is this pushing us to be better as a band and me as a musician?
Cool.
And
Nate, you have anything?
Yeah, man. I think it's been hit a couple times just in this last hour, but we made a conscious decision. We were there with you to record on tape, right? I think so many bands these days, with just the sheer ease of technology and what you can do with technology, it's so easy to get caught up in overproduction, or you have so many opportunities to do things over and over and over again, right? Nobody really knows of the old school, like, punch-in technique, and you were doing it straight on reel to reel with the butt, like nobody gets that anymore. And I think what the biggest lesson that people can do is just slow down, and you got to be raw with your emotional music. Like, it's okay to have, you look at the old greats and you hear breathing on records, you hear coughs, you hear John Paul and George poking fun at Ringo while the takes happen. Like you don't get that anymore because everyone needs to be so polished and producer, no producer, you know, obviously a really good producer will push a band to understand that if you messed up during a take, it might be the best note in the take, right? Like there's purity in the rawness of music, and I think so much of this generation and artists that have been around now is you kind of lose some of that. So not to soapbox there, but I just think it's I felt like we did a really good job of just having the emotion come out of the music, and if it wasn't perfect, who cares? It was what the music needed to be at that point.
That's a good point because we did talk a lot about what to keep, you know, and why to keep it. You know, it wasn't just this constant like, let's just keep doing it. Because what I like about recording on tape is you're erasing something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which invokes a conversation before you just do it again.
Yep.
You know, what do we have? What are we going to do better, and why? All right, let's do it, or not. Right.
Right. Yep. You're not just opening up your Pro Tools log of 26 takes and splicing it all together saying, okay, we're going to take 30 solos and we're going to make one really cool solo. Like that just, you can't do it.
Yeah. Well, and the calories and the time, you know.
Yep.
Cool. Ray, what do you got? Any advice?
I think for me, the biggest thing is when you sit down with a producer and you get it all said and done, and you finally get, and you're holding that in your hand, that's step one. What comes next is the marketing, and you need to find really great, intelligent, thoughtful marketing people to help push your product. And that's something that, you know, I never thought of until now. Like now I realize, okay, we had Be Something's a really good album. Like it's really good. I enjoy it. And there's a couple songs on there that if we would have had a marketing team behind us to push it, you know, we might be further, we might still be playing. I don't know. But the point is, you get the product, you put all that time and all this hard fought energy into this product. Now you need to find people that know marketing and how to push that product forward. So that's my insight, I guess.
That's really good. That's really good advice too. You know, and budget for that not only financially but schedule wise, and just know it's something you need to do. Because the greatest in the world still needs to get promoted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and if you find genius people that can like pick up on trends and next wave technologies like TikTok 6 months ago, if you'd have been on that, you know, then that's how you make a career. And we always thought about making a career, but we didn't really know how to do it. We knew that we were good enough, and we knew that we had the passion for it, and we knew we had the talent for it, but we lacked that last little bit of marketing and pushing it out into the world. Mm-hmm. So if you, as a musician, as a band, as a writer, you can do all the stuff and make the most amazing music that you could, like just mind-blowing music. But if you don't have someone to push it out there and market it so that the rest of the world can hear it, no one's going to give a shit.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's bigger than the record. Makes a lot of sense. And I'd just like to say, I think this Q&A in quarantine, this has become a series about working with a producer. And I just want to tell artists that, you know, a lot of times when I'm meeting with artists, they already have a preconceived notion of what a producer is and either want to or don't want to work with one. And production styles and personalities are as varied as guitar players. So to say, I don't want a guitar player in my band would be the same. There's like, what kind of guitar player, you know? And in this series, you're going to meet 3 or 4 different producers that produce completely differently, and just communicate with the people you're meeting with, and don't decide to work with or not to work with somebody that you haven't fully just asked every question you want to ask, because I could, I could produce this project completely different. Once again, based on what you guys want. You know what I mean? Like if you each came to me separately and said, look, I got the songs, don't touch the songs, we just want them to sound better. Got it. Or this song, like we talked about Cycles, where it's not quite done yet. Okay, let's work on that. You know what I mean? So I think as an artist, just you owe it to yourself to ask questions and get answers and make informed decisions. That's what I've got. Well, man, this has been awesome. I wish I could just put everyone on the screen to say goodbye, but it was really fun seeing all you guys again.
Yeah, it was fun, dude.
Yeah, man. And thanks for taking time. I'm glad you guys are safe and healthy. I'm going to bring Ben in one last time, and then we'll sign off. So thanks, Ben.
Yeah, man. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, and everyone, if just check out this record that we've been talking a lot about. The band is called Drift Effect. It's on Spotify. This album is called Be Something. And then we also did an acoustic record, like a live one. What was that one called?
The Center.
The Center. Yeah, where did we record that? It was live somewhere.
Live at the Caboose.
At the Caboose.
That was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. So check out those 2 records. You guys are awesome people. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. And have a great night, all right?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Peace out, dudes. Awesome hanging.